Okay.
Yeah, I know, that's true.
Now, Michael, what are the orange, those are roadways, pathways, the orange lines around the property?
Those are pathways.
Pathways, okay.
Those are pathways, yeah.
So you think something you didn't touch on, which I know was at least some time around here, iconically, the nevel is the horseback riding, is that still something?
It's in there.
That's in there?
Yeah, and not mentioned, and I should mention it, is the rail trail
Yes.
will be, because we own a lot of rail trail, and it extends way past the property. The Slutskys bought a couple of miles of the rail bed, and so, extending to Sullivan County, the county line almost. And so that is part of the redevelopment plan, and that is a thing that actually ties us, I'm glad that the top came up, that's a thing that ties us into Ellenville as well, because assuming that accommodations can be made for the property, for the other property owners that have the rail trail between the Nevel and downtown Ellenville, you actually can connect the Nevel with downtown Ellenville via the rail trail and beyond. And so that's an issue with the golf, is the Fazio guys kind of knew there was a rail trail and kind of knew where it is. Now in this next iteration, not only do we have to deal with this temporary casino, we also got to figure out with making sure the rail trail works, because we can't have people wandering across a fairway when people are playing, right? So that's going to be a little bit tricky, but that's a key objective, is to get the rail trail up and running too.
I appreciate that from early on in our discussions that you appreciated the rail trail importance, and found out that you had 2 miles of it, which is huge. The importance of Ellenville. I mean, I think I haven't made it a secret. You stood in front of the Shadowland Hotel, looked down Canal Street, and felt that maybe your group could make a difference in Ellenville, and that's a different approach. I think you didn't take the approach like, hey, I'll build this thing a couple miles out of town and we'll never see you guys again. And I very much appreciate that. And I also appreciate that it might have sounded silly the first time I told you, look, don't block our view of the mountain. We get weird about that around here. We want to see our mountain. And guess what? The people live up there, they don't want to look down and see anything strange. They want to see the Nevel. And you did that. I really, really appreciate it, because it probably sounded silly, but it's very, very serious. You know, sometimes, you know, that's what we have here, is the view, our beautiful view of the mountain. And our friends that live up there, they want to look down and see that beautiful valley. And I very much appreciate the idea that, please, by the way, the roof of that parking garage has to be green, because they're going to bury me in the woods at Craigsville.
Sure.
But no, I really appreciate your focus on that, because that has to be what this is about. The boardwalk downstairs, you know, scraping the mold off an old resort and sticking in video slots is not what this board's interested in. It's not going to help this.
It's not what we're interested in.
And you've never been interested in it, and that's not going to work. But bringing the Nevel back and thousands of jobs, I just don't even know where to start to say how important that could be.
So maybe 2 other comments. One is on the design of it. The Nevel is an iconic Art Deco. I mean, it really isn't, because it's really a hodgepodge of whatever got built in any given year.
Correct.
But if you were to ascribe an architectural style to it that predominates the main portions of the property, that would be Art Deco. And so the redeveloped Nevel will be Art Deco. Right. And so just to be clear on that, we're not doing log cabins thinking we're in the Adirondacks or something like that. It will be Art Deco, and it will be what the Nevel's always been. Interesting sitting at the base of the ridge, but it'll be interesting, beautiful, right, and spectacular. And then as it relates to the town, so one of our objectives right now, and I can't say that this will come to pass, but we're working on it, is to get a storefront in downtown Ellenville, preferably on Canal Street. That would be our kind of our headquarters, but we're also talking about reconstructing a part of the Nevel inside of that storefront, so that you know, the Lyndon Johnson suite was specifically built for him, you know, knowing that he was coming to visit as president. So, you know, and trust me when I say, I don't think the sheets have been changed since then. So when we can deconstruct that suite, and we can reinstall it you know, in a downtown storefront of adequate size, and have other things, check-in desks, you know, some of the iconic plaques that are there, temporarily moved. We'll bring it back, obviously, to the property. Temporarily moved down there to create a community center. And so that's something that we're focused on. We've been, as the supervisor knows, we've been touring storefronts as recently as an hour and a half ago. We just looked at the old library today, trying to figure out where we can do it. And the reason I say that is because because of the Art Deco nature of it, I walked into the library and I was like, this is super beautiful, but it's all wood panel, Federalist style. You can't put the neveling back in there. I wish you could, right? Because it needs the work inside that we would do. So that's another goal of ours, and hopefully will help coalesce community support. And maybe people want to have taken a show at the Shadowland, get some ice cream, and then maybe wander down a couple of storefronts to where we are, and they can walk in, and it will be designed to be user friendly. You can walk in, you can see old parts of the nevel. Maybe there'll be an area where people can put up pictures that they have of the property and old, maybe start a collection of things that go in there. But it starts to be a place where people can go, and importantly for us, can register their support of the project, or maybe even register their interest in a job. So, these are very, very important things to start to tell Albany that we have to have this. It's not like we like to have this. We have to have it. We need this. This is what we have to have here. And so that these are some things that are in the works right now, which I'm hoping people will meet with people's approval, and more details to follow, obviously, in subsequent board meetings.
Michael, if you do the room for LBJ, there's actually a book, The Day LBJ Was Here. There's a book. If you need a copy of it, I can get you one.
That would be great. I haven't seen it.
When he visited, they dedicated the hospital.
I knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott told me, supervisor told me that he waited all day to see a car whiz by at 60 miles an hour.
All day. The limousine went like this, 60 miles an hour, and an hour later, the only thing different was it was dark and the light was on, so I think I saw LBJ doing about 60 miles an hour now. Back to the nevel, that was it. We waited all day for that.
Yeah, so
we just had a good meeting downstairs with the planning board, and some of the things that we were talking about, I'll just reiterate one. I think it's kind of brilliant the way you've laid the plan out to be within the facility. A lot of people come up to us and say, no, it's not going to happen, it can't happen, it's not going to work, here's why. One of the reasons it can work very well is because what you're doing is you're taking in exactly the property lines that are there, the building sizes that are there, and when it comes time for the governor or whoever's deciding where the facilities are going to be, if you're the path of least resistance, you already got a facility that can work, you got a plan, and you can open most quickly, you should be in a position to be looked on favorably. So I think that's a good thing. There's no doubt that Ellenville has economic need, and you can see that. And we want to be in a position, I think, as a board, we talked about this downstairs too, not to rubber stamp or anything like that, but to be able to make sure that there's nothing that we as a board does or that the planning board does that would be the reason that you don't succeed in getting what you need done.
I appreciate hearing that.
We did something like this where you're talking to a large group of people who haven't heard a word you've said so far. A bunch of us have heard your concepts for the last 6 months and were sold, but the community needs to be sold.
So the community, there'll likely be a more public forum in kind of the September-October time period where the general public will be invited, to come and hear, not just for me, because I kind of stumble through this. I pretend like I'm a real estate developer and I'm really just a lawyer and a financier guy. But guys on my team, this is what they do. They're great at it, right? Have our architect get up here and walk you through this. You'd be shocked at how much thought went into where every single thing was, every building was located, what we put on there. So that there'll be a more public opportunity. I very much appreciate your comments about wanting to be helpful.
But the fact that you were in the Wall Street Journal today, nobody's even close to being ready to talk to anybody about what their deal is going to be, as far as I know. Yeah.
So I'm hoping that I thought yesterday that we were 6 months behind other people. I'm hoping we leapfrogged a bunch of people, at least in public opinion. And I don't want to be just one of those, oh yeah, Me Too projects when the pedal hits the metal in Albany and they start making decisions. I don't want people being like, well, there's a whole bunch of Johnny-come-latelys that just decided at the last minute they wanted to be a casino and let's just discard those. I want them to think long and hard about this, because this is going to be the product of not just a lot of work on the part of myself, my partners, and my team, but also on the part of you guys and the community. Because frankly, more work has been done by community members than has been done by us, and I'm appreciative for that. By the way, I just want to single out and appreciate the town has appointed Council Wilson Elser and Moskowitz, and they have been enormously helpful to the team. And I just want to publicly say that too, and say that we're appreciative for
We were just gonna introduce, John reminded me, we have our attorneys here. Just so you know how serious we are, the board took, you know, a careful review, and we had some attorneys, a law firm that came highly recommended, highly regarded. And these attorneys represent the town's interests, so they represent your interests in this project, funded by an escrow account that was set up, which is then funded by the nevel, just like what we did with Walmart. And so we wanted to be careful that the town funds don't get expended for this, but that we were well represented. That's we being the town and our interest. And so, and I agree with Mike, that it's been very effective, and I'm glad to hear that, you know, our team's working with your team. You've got a team assembled, but it's, we have to also, the board has to look out for the residents, and
Of course.
and we have a law firm now who did that. And so, you know, tonight, we met jointly with our planning board, our town attorney, our planning board attorney, and the attorneys that represent the town in this project. And I thought we had a great meeting, and it's important to us that the planning board and the town board work together with our council to make this thing happen. And I think it was a great meeting. I really appreciated the planning board members showing up, and the attorneys and our council. So I appreciate the.
Yeah, and I understand that engineering.
Well, very shortly.
So
We're working on it. We
that'll
got some
add to
good
the-
recommendations. So
That'll add to the town's complement of
then
skills.
we'll have
So-
engineering and planning representation plus council. So.
So look, I guess to sum it up, I don't know that we could be, that things are right where they should be. We consider ourselves to be on track. We consider the likelihood of gaming to still be 50-50. There's nothing that's changed that. To a large extent, it's kind of out of our hands, but, we're gonna make it as difficult as humanly possible for state government to say no to us. That's our job. We're gonna make it as hard as possible. And, I hope that you pass the resolution and accept the, head being the lead agency. That's very important for the project. We're very supportive of that, and, you know where to find me.
Great. Thank you, Mike. John?
Sure.
Yeah, just to add a quick caveat to what Dan had said. Same thing on a county level, we don't wanna offer like any resistance to everything that we can, everything possible. We wanna be able to utilize all our resources as well, whether it's, Cornell Cooperative Extension or the Ulster County Community College or Ulster County BOCES, down the road, for training purposes and so forth, like you had mentioned earlier in your presentation. So, anything that we can do and offer any of our services.
You've already been enormously helpful in not only helping pass the resolution, but really seeing the